everybody. So today I want to talk about something quite interesting, and that's understanding water. And there's a theory going around about water has a memory. And you're probably like, what does that mean? So I've come to understand from the work that I do, which of the work that I do a form of work called energy work. So energy healing. And it's really hard, I believe, for people to truly understand, because if you can't see things tangibly, then it's hard to conceptualize and appreciate it, even though there's been so many things out there that are proven in science. Just a perfect example, like gravity. It exists, but just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And it's the same thing I want to just talk about with water, because it's so important, water. I mean, it's what we are mostly comprised of, up to 70%. And what I want to put into your ether today, or your thought processes today, is the fact of how are you treating the water that you are consuming around you, right? First of all, you need to definitely have water that's gone through like a filtration process, or filtered, or bottled, or through means of cleaning, and not drinking tap water. So bad to drink tap water. I tell everyone, which when I say this story, you cannot unhear it and you cannot unthink it. So it's a perfect story, right? I say, think about everything you've ever done in a toilet, right? And I can go from lists from A to Z, and probably better not to go so detailed, but I want to, because that's just the person I am. Think you do 1, you do 2, you've probably vomited, you probably put tablets down, women with menstruation, people nappies get put down there. It's like really, really hectic stuff. Women with menstruation, I said that already, but it's kind of a cocktail you would not even dare to even wish on your worst enemy to consume, right? Yeah. So you think about that. And also, quite interestingly, I read a book once that talked about a study that was conducted in America about how the water is actually contaminated, essentially, because so many people are taking antidepressants and a lot of antipsychotics. And then obviously you go, I'm fine. And then they're like, I don't need this medication anymore. Flush down the toilet. So the water is actually quite laced with these medications, that actually through the consumption in the water, you're being affected by it through a long-term, by long-term standards. So a bit scary. So essentially you want either bottled or filtered, but like a proper filter. Don't get that little plasticky thing that everyone seems to get, and then you need to change the filter every few months, and people change it like once in a blue moon. So think about it. And always I say, don't do plastic. If it's plastic, do BPA free. Always try your best to do glass, please. And also, if you are going to go this path, which is respecting your health is your wealth, it's the most important asset of your life. It's gonna cost more. Please don't complain that things cost, it costs more. It's the price of your health. How much are you worth? Like, really, how much are you worth? Like, think about that. Think about what is your value. Really important. Okay, back to my story. So all of that cocktail in the water, what does the government have to do, and like what chemicals and processes does that water have to go through to make it somewhat stripped of all of the toxins and pollutants that are in there, to make it somewhat drinkable? So you got a whole bunch of cocktail of nastiness that people put in, whole bunch of nastiness and chemicals and pollutants that stripping chemicals that the government are putting in to make it somewhat drinkable. So that water by default is contaminated, right? Anyway, but now going back to energy. So we're talking about what is memory in water. So water I would say is best to compare it to thinking about like a sensitive, very sensitive individual. Whatever you think, whatever you emit, whatever you feel, the surrounding water around you will pick that up. So don't have water next to your computer and leave it overnight when computer's emitting EMFs. Don't put your water filter next to a fridge which is emitting things. Don't have an argument or a bad day or something that's being shouted or a bad energy in a room and then drink that water. Don't leave, this always used to bother me in South Africa, people leaving water in plastic bottles in the car, sun is blasting, and then basically the heat basically melts the plastic and leaches those plastic chemicals, which is obviously not BPA free, but even if it was, it's leaching into the plastic, leaching into the water. But again, because you don't see it, you don't think about it. So I've got to be that person that makes you think about it. So yes, water retains memory. So there was a very fascinating I guess how this came about or concept arose is that there was a lab and a laboratory assistant, it was in Germany, was doing some things and then basically was holding a vacuum sealed ampule and was moving it, and then of a virulent basically poison, and then basically dropped this ampule by mistake in a beaker of water. Couldn't get it out, so basically she just like skedaddled and just left it because she just didn't want to get in trouble. Who can't blame her? Anyway, it was discovered 3 days later and they just took it out, but this water beaker was basically used to feed lab mice. And what happened is they just did, and then within a couple of days, the mice died. And they were like, ooh, but this vacuum sealed ampule did not leak or wasn't broken, nothing actually went inside the water. So how did that? And then they tested the water, and in terms on paper, the water was squeaky clean. So then they came to understand the hypothesis that came forward from this is that the water received negative information. And how did it do that? And I'm going to say some words. Just give me a second. That I have. So it received some negative information from the poison. So as I said, the hypothesis that could explain the water's unpredictable behavior. And water has memory. So experiments are done in many countries around the world that have shown that water receives and makes an imprint of outside influence, remembering everything that occurs in the space that it's surrounded in. So it makes no difference where the water is located. Even if you have to transport it to outer space, it remains sensitive to what it encounters. And then NASA scientists actually discovered this, that when the water was released in low gravity environment, pure water is hard to make, so it's hard to get, and it's kind of reactive. So it's a polar liquid, and it tends to dissolve things and grab things, and they become what we call surface active. So if you take a drop of oil or something like that, ethanol, alcohol, it's going to be quite sensitive and contaminable surface. So like you can actually put it in and pop it, and it will separate. So it's really fascinating at the end of the day. I just think that you should really be conscious about what energy you're putting in. And even there are some, how can I call it? Through the work of sacred geometry, there are some belief systems out there, or people practicing energy work, that say you can reprogram things. So you can actually, when you get water, they've got these codes, these sacred codes. I don't remember the code. I tried it a long time ago. But you can like bless, with conscious intention, change the programming of the water. And then it made me think like this rabbit hole. That's why, like in Christianity, because that's how I was raised, you bless your food. You're restructuring the molecules of the food or the energy, because you got the actual physical thing, water or the food, and if you think about it, food also is made up of a lot of water, so the memory still is in a different type of physical form. But idea to restructure it. So I would say a tip of the day is to make sure you drink healthy water, no tap water. Make sure the environment that the water that you're consuming, that is surrounded in, is always in a positive influenced state. And if it's not, check it out and refill. You should be drinking, for every 30 kilograms you are, 1 litre of water. So, and if you drink a lot of alcohol, drugs, booze, that's alcohol, heavy foods, oily foods, whatever, you need to up a glass each, so at least 2.5 to 3 litres is what people should be consuming a day. And try reprogramming it with conscious intention. So just say, even if it's 5 seconds, so the Christians will pray before the food is served, for what we're about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful. You're like, psh. So you don't have to be Christian, but you can use your own words that you resonate with and just put it in there. And really start to act from a place of consciousness. Every action that we do, even though we are so automatic and robotic now in our processes, is try actually stepping back into a conscious way of living. So how you eat, how you think, how you breathe, how you sleep, how you sit, how you run, how you feel, how you do things, how you wear everything, Just be present is really the summary of it all, but present in a good, harmonious state. That really you can start to understand who you are. And we want to do that in a sense of positive well-being. So everything you put inside you needs to be harmonious. In order to do that, we need to make sure that those conditions are met by taking action to meet them. So positive water, because water has memory. Maybe you didn't even know that. Maybe you never heard of that, but now you know. Now you can't unknow when you watch this video. And I'm turning into rap artist. But anyway, that's all I have to share for today. So lots of love, light, everything, and healing for you. Okay, bye.